Hi, I'm Johanna, and I want to just take you into my story. April 23rd, 2018. I remember rolling over and feeling the sun shining on my face and wondering, was it all a nightmare? Please, God, say it was all a nightmare. Just tell me that everything's the way it should be. But immediately it struck me that we came home one less person, and Gianna Lily Faith was no longer on this earth. But when we left there 3 weeks prior, it was still winter, and it was cold, and we had been waiting for spring to come, and so excited. When you live on a farm, it's all about when's the first day of spring, and the first day of spring came, and there was a winter storm. And I just remember being so mad that our spring had been stolen, and this storm, it was white everywhere, ice and snow everywhere on the first day of spring, and I just remember feeling so irritated. I looked outside, and our favorite mulberry tree, the tree that our kiddos climbed and picked mulberries from, had fallen. It was crushed under the snow, and I was just so mad. I was just so mad because I felt like our spring was hijacked. And it was a few days, everything ended up thawing out, and I felt like we were getting back our spring. And then suddenly, Gianna got very sick, and her heart went into a cardiac arrest. And the next thing I knew, out of a whirlwind of events, we were being flown to Boston Children's, and it was 3 weeks of miracles. You know, God did so much. He showed his glory to the surgeons, to the nurses, the miracles he did. And we just kept asking him to do it again. And we just believed, we knew what he was able to do. We had so much hope in what our God has done and what we believed he would do. And I was left there that day on the farm with the tension of, okay, my hope in what I knew you could do shattered. And I felt so mad at God. And I remember walking outside, and everything looked so beautiful. Here we were back at home, and the thing we had waited so long for, as we were waiting for spring, had now come, but my world was in a hole. And the sun, the flowers, the baby animals, everything just felt like it was mocking me. So I just went outside, and I just ran to the only place that I felt could mirror my pain, and I needed something that could grieve with me. So I ran to that place where that mulberry tree had been crushed, and it was just a stump at that point. And it was there I felt like Jesus met me, and I felt like he told me, I will grieve with you, I cry with you, I weep with you. It's not supposed to be this way. And I remember just wrestling with him in that space, and my kids were around me, and some were chasing chickens, the others were checking on baby bunnies that were born, and I just remember yelling at him and saying, how am I supposed to teach them about the goodness of God when their prayers weren't answered? And I heard the Lord say, I'm gonna teach you how to hold on to truth despite circumstances, because the hope I give you is not based on earthly circumstance. I give you a hope that far exceeds what you see by your eye, because death is not my story. And the truth is that Gia is alive, and I want to teach you how to live with the truth that I am the redeeming God, and I am making all things new. And he just would sing this song of hope over me and cry with me. And I heard him say, and it felt like a jolt of energy went through my body. I heard him say, I want you to dig a hole right there, right at that stump, that dead stump. I want you to dig a hole, and I want you to plant flowers there. And I did. I just started clawing at the ground. My kids came around. We started shoveling dirt, and it was messy and it was torn up, but it was a picture of what our heart felt like, just broken and bruised and bleeding. And I heard God say, now that ground is fertile and it's ready for the seeds of hope. And your tears are watering it, and I'm gonna make something new. I'm gonna bring life from death. And that's who I am. My life, my story, your life, it does not end in ashes. Gia's life does not end in ashes. Her life will continue to bring life and miracles and hope. And it was like he was saying, I know you can't see that, but I'm gonna give you something concrete. And right there commenced our Johanna's Garden of Hope. And it was at that moment I felt the Lord say, this is how I'm going to teach your family about who I am, that I'm good, and that I chase you down with goodness. And so our garden started as this small plot, this holy ground around this stump. The stump was a symbol of our loss. And it was to be honored because, just because something good grows and can be born out of ashes, it doesn't negate the loss and the pain, that you can hold both. And so it was this beautiful symbol of how if we let our heart just be given to the Lord, the brokenness, he can produce good and beauty in life. And so as the seasons went on and we would see the seasons of the garden unfold, I heard him say, expand the garden, and this time just put seeds in, because I want to show you that as you continue to give me the story, I am creating a wild, beautiful story of hope. And it's gonna be messy, it's not gonna be well manicured, and then started my wildflower garden, and he gave me the verse, Isaiah 35:1, the desert will bloom and rejoice like a wildflower. And that garden really stood as a symbol of hope in our lives, and of truth. That truth anchors us when everything we see is dark and black, that the truth of God's goodness, the truth of the power of life over death, the truth that Jesus walked out of a grave, that truth keeps us walking forward. And it kept oxygen in our family, and it kept us looking for his goodness, expecting his goodness, while also having space to wrestle and cry and lament. And it was Jesus with us in the valley. And I'm so thankful for our living hope. I would have despaired had I not believed for the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.